Ready one, Ulysses. There it is.
Hello BookTube, I'm Sean the Book Maniac. Welcome back to my channel. Here it is, another Friday Reads, and I'm not feeling very well, but it's kind of indefinable, like I'm not coughing. I'm a little stuffed up, a little congested, a little sleepy. So I haven't done very much reading today. I did manage to summon up enough energy to do a new version of the page 112 tag, which is uploading right now. So I'll be curious for any feedback you have on that. And I am going to do this Friday read. I couldn't imagine skipping a Friday Reads, and I do have to go to work for only 1 hour tonight, so let's get started. But I do have good news. I'd like to start with good news, a little bit personal, but nothing too personal. Kenji and I have now got our new apartment. I mentioned it weeks ago. It has taken us weeks to do all the paperwork and get all of everything approved, but that all came together a few days ago. So we don't move in until June 1st, and in the Tokyo apartment renting system, which is the subject of another video, it's crazy, but it's very rare to have an apartment arranged this far in advance, and it's going to be by Japanese standards, a huge apartment, closer in size to a Western apartment than not. And I will have my own room, which will be my library and Sean the Book Maniac filming room. So I can't wait to have a suitable backdrop for videos in the new place, and for, even more importantly, for my library, instead of piles of books. Like, there are I will not show you how messy my apartment is, but you can see the piles of books, and they're everywhere like that. And I'll actually now have a place to put up shelves. And 2018 is going to be a very busy year for us. We're moving into our new place in June, and we're getting married in Canada in August. We're going to Canada for the wedding and coming back to continue living in Japan, but we're going to Canada for the wedding. So 2018 is going to be a big year, and it just feels wonderful to have a new place. I think my bedroom in the new apartment will be the same size as my current apartment. Pretty exciting. Next item on the agenda is, I found out today from Facebook, because I liked Kate Atkinson on Facebook, that her next novel, called Transcription, is coming out in September 2018. That makes me very excited, even though I've been hit and miss with her, but I loved Life and Life so much, and then tried her behind the scenes at the museum. Didn't like it and bailed, but very much want to get to her sequel to Life After Life, A God in Ruins. I hope to get to that early in the new year. This is not a timely thing, but I've been meaning to have a chat about this, especially since there's been a lot of talk going around BookTube about Goodreads, and this is kind of a tangential issue, but it is something that I've experienced on Goodreads, and I just wonder if anybody else has, or what you think about this. Two phenomena. One is, I don't think authors should be on Goodreads, at least not in a way where they're commenting on the reviews. I guess commenting on a positive review is fine, and I have had authors like my reviews of their books, and I didn't have a problem with that. It was a little bit thrilling, actually. But I won't give the name of the book, just so it doesn't, I don't want to add more drama to this book review I put on Goodreads last year. I think it was last year. But you would probably easily be able to find it. There was an anthology of essays about Hillary Clinton published last year, which I read. And I just thought it was garbage. I mean, it was so badly written. There was 2 or 3 essays out of 15 that weren't shitty, and the rest were so shitty that oh my god. Including the essay contributed by the editor of the book. They were a mixture of pro-Hillary and anti-Hillary, and I'm not sure about Hillary, and that's fine. It wasn't a political objection that I had. I just thought most of the writers didn't put a lot of care into crafting their essays. And I remember there was one in particular, and this was not the editor's essay, but I singled it out for special high dudgeon because she wrote it as a pro-Hillary stance, and gave 5.5 pages or 7.5 pages of evidence or examples of why she loved Hillary. And then I swear that I'm not exaggerating, but in the final paragraph, she introduced 2 points. Maybe they were valid, maybe not, but 2 points that caused her to change her mind completely about Hillary. And she ended the essay in that final paragraph as an anti-Hillary conclusion. And I was just dumbfounded. Like, it just reminded me of the kind of essays probably I wrote in high school, or certainly lots of high school students write, where they don't really know what they're doing and they're just kind of fumbling around on the page and they just change their thesis on the last page, and then they don't have the smarts to go back and just rejig the essay so that everything flows smoothly. It was just shamefully bad writing. Anyway, posted the review, and at that time I didn't have my settings such that I would always get notification of comments, so it wasn't for several months that I found that the editor of the book put a comment attacking me for attacking her book, and she was indignant, and I didn't reply to it. I was just like, oh, like, authors should not do that. Like, that's childish. I mean, it's a forum for writers to express their opinions, and, you know, unless you're going to attack me for something that I said that was wrong, but I said it was a piece of shit and she was angry that I said it was a piece of shit, well, don't write pieces of shit. Stay off Goodreads. I also find it bemusing when readers, and this has happened more often, and that's only happened once, I think, but where fellow readers on Goodreads will attack me for my negative reviews. Like, why bother? I've received 2 negative comments, I think 2, maybe 3, on a review where I trashed the novel called My Cat Yugoslavia, which was one of the novels, a debut novel translation that came out this year that I read that I hated the most. And I wrote a short review expressing why I hated it. And 2, maybe 3 readers put comments criticizing me quite strongly, saying I obviously didn't get it and was an idiot for not getting it. Well, fine, maybe I didn't. But why would you bother? And I regularly receive, like, if you don't agree with somebody's review, write your own damn review. None of this hurt my feelings. That's not why I'm bringing it up. I just find it really curious. Like, the only time I remember ever criticizing anybody on Goodreads was somebody who did a review, gave a book 5 stars and said, I just bought this book today and I can't wait to read it. And I just put a comment and said, well, that's not actually how this works. You're supposed to read it before you give a rating and do a review. Anyway, I have reading news. This is the first time where I set a goal on a Friday Reads and actually met it. And these were rather substantial goals. I finished this book this week. Mavis Gallant, The Collected Stories, 950 pages. I started it on January 6th, finished it this week. What an accomplishment. And if I had to review it in one sentence, I would say, I'm sad it was this short. Just loved it. But I will do a review at some point. And I also finished the, I don't know how many pages it was, maybe about 500-page novel by Sunjeev Sahota called The Year of the Runaways. I finished that yesterday and have already reviewed it. Not on BookTube, I think I probably will, but on Goodreads and Litsy. Yeah. It was amazing. I still haven't read Steve Donahue's review. He sent me a link to it when I first mentioned it, and I haven't read that yet. Now's a good time for me to read it, now that I've formulated my own opinion. I'm really curious, because I know he said he loved it. But I did read some of the stuff that he's writing on his Readerly blog, and it's the first time I've really read any of his writing, and I don't know why I'm surprised. I'm not surprised, but I'm just delighted by his prose. So if you've never checked out any of Steve Donahue's writing, please do. I'm sure you can find all the links on his channel. I've started 2 new books this week, both of them quite spontaneously. One is an ebook. I think I heard reference to it on Twitter, and when I saw that it was a novella, and when I realized I was going to be finishing these tomes this week, I could fit it in. It's a Mexican novel. I believe it's the first Mexican novel I've ever read, if I finish it, but so far I'm really enjoying it. I think the translation is quite new. It might be this year. Down the Rabbit Hole by Juan Pablo Villalobos. And it is about a precocious young boy. So far I don't think, unless I missed it, I don't think we know exactly how old he is, but he's very precocious for his age. I'm guessing he might be around 10 or 9, but I'm not sure. But he is the son of a Mexican drug lord, cartel lord, and lives this luxurious but very isolated life in his father's mansion, and has everything he wants except friends or anybody his own age or really contact with very many people. And he has a delightful, precocious voice. I think it might not agree with every reader, but so far I'm really loving it. His name is Tochli. He has, all the possessions you can imagine, but including his father has tigers and lions and things. But what he really wants is a pygmy hippopotamus from Liberia. I'm going to read you 2 longer quotes. The first one is the opening of the novel. Some people say I'm precocious. They say it mainly because they think I know difficult words for a little boy. Some of the difficult words I know are sordid, disastrous, immaculate, pathetic, and devastating. There aren't really that many people who say I'm precocious. The problem is I don't know that many people. I know maybe 13 or 14 people, and 4 of them say I'm precocious. They say I look older, or the other way round, that I'm too little to know words like that. Or back to front and the other way around, sometimes people think I'm a dwarf. But I don't think I'm precocious. What happens is I have a trick, like magicians who pull rabbits out of hats, except I pull words out of the dictionary. Every night before I go to sleep, I read the dictionary. My memory, which is really good, practically devastating, does the rest. Yolkout doesn't think I'm precocious either. He says I'm a genius, he tells me. Tochli, you're a genius, you little bastard. And he strokes my head with his fingers covered in gold and diamond rings. So that's the open. Certainly grabbed me. I don't know how to pronounce his dad's name, Yolkout. I tried to find it, and the only references to his name on Google were from this novel, so Tochli I found. Of course, it's comic and darkly comic, so this next section, just a few pages later, is much darker. One of the things I've learned from Yolkout is that sometimes people don't turn into corpses with just 1 bullet. Sometimes they need 3 or even 14 bullets. It all depends where you aim them. If you put 2 bullets in their brain, they'll die for sure. But you can put up to 1,000 bullets in their hair and nothing will happen, although it must be fun to watch. I know all this from a game Yolkout and I play. It's a question and answer game. One person says a number of bullets in a part of the body, and the other one answers, alive, corpse, or too early to tell. 1 bullet in the heart, corpse. 30 bullets in the little toenail of the left foot, alive. 3 bullets in the pancreas, too early to tell. And we carry on like that. When we run out of body parts, we look up new ones in a book that has pictures of all of them, even the prostate and the medulla oblongata. Speaking of the brain, it's important to take off your hat before you put bullets into somebody's brain so it doesn't get stained. Blood is really hard to get out. This is what Itapapaloro, the maid who does the cleaning in our palace, always says. So yeah, this is really quite something so far. Who knows how I'll feel by the end, or if I get to the end, but right now I'm quite engrossed in it. And the other new book that I started, it's on audio this week, is a Dutch novel published just after World War II, I believe 1947. Comedy in a Minor Key by Hans Kielsen. And it's about a young Dutch couple who hide a Jewish man in their home during the Nazi invasion. And the Jewish man ends up getting sick and dying while they are hiding him and getting rid of his body. That's the part that has the real emotional power for me, because they couldn't. What could they do? So what they did is just horrific, and was horrific for them, but what choice did they have? And that's the novel's power so far. I'm quite struck by it. I think, now that I've read so much Holocaust literature, I don't think it's having quite the effect on me that it would have when it came out in 1947. I believe it was one of the very first Holocaust-themed novels to come out in Europe. But it is quite powerful. So, nice light read, hey? My reading time is freeing up. I'm next, I think a week from today, I start the Sparsholt Affair buddy read. And I think I'm actually going to get a head start on it, because the reading schedule it's 5 chapters over 5 days, and most chapters are about 100 pages, so I think I might get a head start on it, just so I don't have to kill myself to keep up. I should be able to finish some of these other books. I haven't done my main reading focus this week was to get those 2 tomes I just mentioned out of the way, so I haven't made much progress with this, Winter in the Blood by James Welch, but certainly am still really enjoying the prose. Read a bit more of this and just love it, but this is always on the back burner because I don't intend to finish it until the new year. But I do have more time to read it now, too. And I am this might end up being one of my top picks of 2017. Ma'am Darling, the Princess Margaret biography. It's the best written royal biography I've ever read. I don't know who this Craig Brown guy is. He's a journalist. He has a parody diary on Private Eye. I don't know anything about him, but man, his writing is it's absolutely fascinating, and I want to read the whole goddamn book to you. That's how much I'm loving it. I'm 45 pages in, and it's 400 and some pages, but I hope to finish that before I go home at Christmas. And still enjoying this one, the translated Norwegian novel, Lars Mitting's The 16 Trees of the Somme. Not very far into it, 40 pages. It's going to end up being kind of a mysterious story that isn't actually a mystery. This he's 20 years old at the present time of the story, and his parents died mysteriously on a holiday in France, and he since has been raised by his grandfather, who never really wanted to tell him very much about their deaths. I mentioned all that before. And as he gets older, it's starting to really eat away at him what actually happened. So that's what the book will be about. And he found out that his grandfather had a brother who the grandfather was estranged from. I believe he died in the war. The brother's name is Einar. Einar had lived on a farm very close to the grandfather when they were younger men, and they used to fight about politics. Don't know too much about that yet. But what kind of trees? I'm not good with remembering those details. Anyway, the brother Einar had put some kind of a metal band around all or many of the trees on his property, and he had a good reason to do it. I haven't discovered. Apparently he did. It's still a mystery to me, but now, 40 or 50 years later, as the trees grow, those bands, some of them have been sucked right into the tree, and others, as the tree grows out, they pop and explode. And so this young man and his grandfather, living, a mile away or whatever on the mountain, regularly hear that popping, exploding metal sound. It's really the atmospherics of the novel are quite compelling. So I've had a fantastic reading week. If I don't feel great this weekend, that will give me more of a chance to be a couch potato and read more. I would be delighted to hear about your reading this Friday. Thanks for watching.